Okay, welcome back to Dimming Stage Block 9, 1D plus 1 Lunar Orbs. These are starting materials. Trying to keep a lot of time going faster. These are 4 cork tiles there. Here, but I'm probably not. I'm going to go ahead and open these. So I'm not going faster yet. And today I was going to cover saving throws. Difficult and frightening concept because of its ability to take math or the obvious. One of the things that's not great in AD&D is its obvious nature. First thing that you can do is create something very obvious. You can't spell that out. You get terrible grief from it from everybody else because they never believe me, and there's always some other ungraded Da Vinci Code truth to it. These are great, by the way. So it really isn't. It's really just math, if you can tolerate it. And fine, that's usually complication is its toleration. So here, it's paper, scissors. We're going to tolerate cutting that type thing to make the pinups that I do, taking that to the sense on the cork. But like I said, it never goes through like anywhere, and that's just not good. It's the basis of it, really is. And a lot of those tolerations can be fixed, you know, if everything was a little bit more pure. So from that, I'm trying to put together some saving throws on that. They probably aren't pure, and that means, and thus that's why their math doesn't work. So let's go ahead and look at some saving throws, and we'll go look up some impurities, I guess, that aren't worth other time of calculation. So now, I cut those up in front of the camera here. Now those go. Now we'll go do some math. Okay, those are there. Those are cut-ups. I push pin up for this one here, but as you can see, this one is for my fire spells that I need to work out, which I haven't done today, which I might do today, taking it into a sense. Very complicated, very unpleasant math because of its complication there, and its purity. And from that, now you have a piece of paper, and you have another board with the base one taking that type of sense, in pure decision there, and then the board, and then here, in an impure pin. Yeah, that's it. For pushing a pin against the board with a piece of paper to lay out your thoughts. Very complicated. Again, it's definitely impure. Okay. So from that, which is the logic of everything else being impure. Okay, that type of toleration. So from here, that's saving throws. And I know it's a foregone system, but most likely, I'm going to use a different board for this. If you do one, you're doing the other. Okay. If you're doing saving throws in here, Pathfinder or Shadowrun or 4th edition, if it's got this same type of base calculation to it, then that's how you're going to have to set up your saving throws. Ideally, but maybe not. Alright. Do you want green here? Go some neutral here. Sure that didn't make any sense whatsoever. And close that for now. Had to make a new book since I moved. And that's here. Okay, camera shot there. And that's here. Am I reading it correctly there? And that's saving throws here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some pins in those and break that up on math because of what's going on. Now in the addition book here, that is your book. And these are also saving throws. They're very complicated in setting them up. Pretty sure about that. Alright, it's going to take me a little bit to get used to a table because I had not a table for so long. It's really weird. There's saving throws right there, fortitude saving throws. One of the difficulties type thing is what you're putting against that in Pythagoras. So now, that's a d20 type thing in that type of sense. Right then and there. From that d20, we're going to, well, I guess cover a d20. Yeah. So here, and I'm going to go here, and we're going to do that. And we need a piece of paper again. So I probably moved away from me. Okay, here. That's Pythagoras equation. That's a squared plus b squared equals c squared impure. In that term, typing in that type of sense, there are 3 letters of the alphabet in there. The first letter being the A, the second letter being the B, and then 3, the resultant C, typing in that type of sense. So now, that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Just like that. I have a lot of people tell me that that is incorrect because that didn't flow in that type of thing. From breaking that and that type of thing, because that's fortitude, on to more impure thought, fortitude saving throw, that's A, taking that type of sense, that's a d20. So you take out a 20-sided die here, and then that's a 20, right then and there. That would be considered the end of the line. Now, that's B here, taking that type of sense, which is we have a d20 matching with our first yellow pin. So that's 1 pin, and they're both the same. Now, we're going to go on, taking that type of sense, to base save bonus. The second pin, or the first pin, by a lot of accordance type thing, because it's still within the first pin. Base save is different for a lot of different creatures. So we're going to move this here, and let's go get a reality of that in that type of thing, which is still going to equal 20 at the end of this. So let's go here, and we're going to do here. This is page 8 and page 9 of the abilities. Notice how, without separating that out, that all looks like one sheet. Back on page 9. Here, that's Constitution. Here, that's Intelligence. Here, that's Wisdom. And here, that is Charisma. These same abilities, along with Strength and Dex, on page 317, are not the same page. Right there. 1 for Strength, 2 for Dexterity, 3rd is Constitution, 4th is Intelligence, 5th is Wisdom, and 6th is Charisma. Okay, now with that, we have some special considerations going through these classes. That's classes here in Chapter 3, and all of these are going to be the same. That's a backpack with the hit die type, and in that, that's a Barbarian. We're going to look at the Barbarian doing the Fortitude right now. We're not going to look at the Reflex. We have 3 saving throws, a Fortitude, Reflex, and Will, which is 1. So now you write that down. That's Fortitude. That's Reflex. And that is Will. Okay, now with the Barbarian, they've got all 3. But they've got a 2 and a Fortitude, so I'm going to look at their 2 Fortitude here. So Fortitude, we're going to consider Barbarian in that means. Now, the Bard's got Reflex and Will, so I'm going to put them in Will for right now. And that's Reflex. That's going to be interesting. Or, sorry, that's going to be Bard. And that's here. And that's Cleric. Cleric's got a +2 in will as well. Okay. Now, that's a druid. And they've got a +2 in will. And that's fighter. And that's here. And fighter's got a +2 with the barbarian. And what's interesting in it is other people's pay-in, which you can make even in that type of sense. I'm going to use the monk for reflex, which we're not seeing right now, but will in just a second. And that's not good to the camera. And that's paladin, and their fortitude. That's paladin. Although, usually when you're looking up your own class, you get muttered out, I think, in that type of sense. Okay, I'm going to put ranger in reflex. And because you're impure. Rogue is reflex. And that's right. Sorcerer is will and their class. And that's familiars with them. That's a chart and down and familiars and page 52. The other one was fighter, which I didn't remember to do first. And so that's fighter, and that is wrong. That's fighter. That's over to the top here. And that's wild shape and resist nature lure on the top of page 37. Okay, and that's wizard, and that's will save. That should be 11 classes. But when you're only doing the job that you want to do, how would you remember 11 other people? Okay, now let's go back to Druid. And in Druid, and that's page 35. That's the first chart next to Vidania. And we're going to turn the page. And that's the page with Tordic and then Nature Companion, which is where the wolf is. And that's a Druid's Animal Companion chart and the ape chart. We'll get back to that in a minute. This one's really simple. You do the ape, and in that type of thing, once you're a 4th level druid, you can qualify for the ape, and the ape now has 4 minus 3, which is 1, so you have an ape with link and shared spells. This one still holds, even though you subtracted the 3. The ape stays, and then it has the minus 3 off this chart. Chart B with the ape, and then on, which is hard to imagine. So then the chart B, the second chart type thing, is with the ape, but you minus 3, so you don't have the ape anymore. That's not what that's saying. That's B, that's ape, and then that's what 4 in the A chart, and the A chart is minus 3 with 1 ability. So that's ape with level 1 abilities, which is link and shared spells. So the ape with link and shared spells. Very complicated, and that means it's just keeping track of the subtlety between 2 columns of action, addition, or betterment. Now, these charts all have the same 2s in their base save bonus type thing there. But notice the background here in that type of sense. Let's go red on that one. 3rd pin for Constitution, for Fortitude, Dexterity, for Reflex, and Wisdom for, in that type of sense, for Will, which a lot of people think is Charisma, but it's really Wisdom. Okay. Okay. Now it's a character sheet here. And that's there. These have no corresponding values to anything in the game. So we said that, taking that to the sense here, should probably use different colors. But on that chart here, is, that was Constitution for Fortitude save. That's Constitution. And, oh, that was perfect. And let's see here. That's Constitution, which now I made 2D. And that's Constitution. And that is Wisdom. Right there. And that is Charisma. Right there. So they're not on a character sheet. So that's Constitution, Dexterity, and Wisdom. And that's Constitution, Wisdom, and, oops, I meant Dexterity. Constitution, Dexterity, and Wisdom. Just like that. So there are 3 in there, which they aren't. Okay. Now, even though we said that, other people have different benefits of Constitution, Wisdom, and things like that. And that's not right. In that type of thing, a sorcerer has a will save. We just wrote that down. But, let's take will for instance here. To make that even, a sorcerer casts through that's Charisma. Hold on here. Right there. That's Charisma. So now, that's how they cast. That's Charisma to spells. So Charisma, taking that means. Now if they make an 18 here in Charisma, which is another video, and they make a, or they can do a Charisma 14 or 16, taking that type of sense, and a, I'm going to go with a 14 for right now, because that's wrong, and a Wisdom, which goes into your will save, of 14. That's a modifier, taking that type of sense. That's 14 of 15. That's plus 2 modifier. 2 up to the modifier right there. So that's plus 2, and that's plus 2 in that means. So now in that type of sense, they would have their chart 1, which is now back to sorcerer. Which has got a plus 2 on it. So now we're going to come here again. And now we're going to do here. This is their will saving throw. So we had to write down D20 for A. Right there. Some also like to use the plus symbol type thing for the next variable. And now that's a base save bonus. Base save bonus, there's nothing that says base save bonus on that chart. Base attack bonus, but not save. And that's 2 for that part, taking that type of sense. Now I usually like to treat it as a fill in the blank. Just like that. And then that's here. So that was a D20. And then we've got 2. And then Wisdom save. Well, they took a 14 Wisdom, taking that type of sense. So that gave them a plus 2 modifier. So that's 2. Had they taken an 18 Charisma, taking that means, which is what they need to cast spells with, that's 18 plus 4. And then that was a Wisdom of 10, so to speak, taking that type of sense. So here, in this case, D20 plus 4, or D20 plus 2. Because then they would have D20 plus Wisdom bonus of 0. No, a 2 will save on chart. And a 0 modifier, D20 plus 2. This one loses in that type of sense. But if they would have chose the other one, taking that type of sense, you go to a character sheet on that, and it's going to keep losing in other aspects. That is your spell difficulty blocks, like there. And in that type thing, in that type of sense, is another beating. Now, in that, that's to learn to cast a spell, a sorcerer must have a charisma score equal to at least 10 plus the spell level, and that type of thing. And the difficulty class for saving throw against a sorcerer's spell is 10 plus the spell level plus the sorcerer's charisma modifier. So now that's A, in that type of thing. That's 10, or some Curtis thing. That's B, in that type of sense, plus the spell level, first level spell. and then C plus the charisma modifier, which is 2. But in the other one, it was 10 plus 1 plus 4. This one is 13, and this one is 15. 13 over 15 type thing in that type of sense. And the choice with the more balanced one type thing, which is the one with the plus 4, in that type of means, is the winner. Actually, that was the other choice. It's plus 2. So even though it made a better save, it made a better save as far as a will save. These weaker difficulty class spells. So you have to be careful of the choices that you make within your saving throws. Now, let's take some other examples. Not that they should be done that way, because of impurity. From that impurity, that is here. Now, all the people that we had doing a will save, Bard and Cleric, they're plus 2 on a will save, which I should probably look back again, taking on page 31, because they're not. And that's another beating. And that's first level over to will save, and that's plus 2, which it isn't. And then that's Bard, Cleric, Druid. Alright, I didn't do the Bard, which is not in this book. Now it's Barbarian. It's page 27 is also the Barbarian in the PHP. And that's another plus 2 will save. So that's plus 2 will. And a Cleric, now again, it's plus 2 will at first level. And then the Druid is plus 2. And in that, let's see here, is a monk, but I'm not covering them right now. And sorcerer, I believe, is the next plus 2. See, rogue has got a plus 0 will. And a sorcerer is plus 2. Under the will at first level. So it's a will save to plus 2 over to first level. And that's amazing. That's a will save to plus 2 over to first. Okay, now all these are the base. Alright, good. Now remember we had an A and B and C type answer in that means. The A one was a D20, the B one was a base save, which all of them are going to get plus 2, so they're going to be the same that, and the A ones are going to be plus the same thing with all the D20 roll. A lot of people like to make the D20 suddenly turn into a 2, type thing that means. So now, that's a D20 with 20 type thing in that type of sense, and that's a base save type thing in that 2, like that, in that type of sense, which is 22, but none of them do that. Instead, they do this type thing in that type of sense, and they put that together type thing as 2 as a 2 resultant type thing, with a 0 benefit, that's a roll of 2. You didn't roll anything, but now this calculation counts as your roll. No, it counts as a bonus that you add to your roll. That's wrong. And I always get a beating on that. So from that, that's 2s on that type thing in that type of sense. Now, for a Bard, let's go back to them. We already checked Sorcerer, and their key ability type thing for casting, which you can balance, and in that type of sense, was Charisma. For Wizard, it's Intelligence. Although it's hard to find. That's difficulty class in that type of sense. Again, difficulty class for a spell against a wizard spell is 10. So that's A. So that's not a base, that's 0. And then B, the spell level. Color Spray is a 5th level spell. It's first. And that's C in that type of sense. And that's the spell level, which is, you look that up on a Color Spray in the back of the book, which is not in the book. And that's here. That's Color Spray, Sorcerer, Wizard, and that type of thing after Illusion Pattern on page 210. Over, not on the first type thing, you're going to go down, which is right there, which is wrong. And in that type of thing, it's got a 1. So its spell level was 5. Yeah, that's 1. Now you go back. Now your Wizard Intelligence modifier. The Wizard's Intelligence modifier is at the bottom of that type thing with 10 plus the spell level plus the Wizard's Intelligence modifier. And I think I did a video on this beforehand, even though it's incredible. So it's 14 type thing in that type of sense, which is a score. This score, the 14 is a letter, which is a number. which is a number, and next to it is nothing else. So now we go back to table 8, and that's table 8, that's a 14, that's score, and score is on the first column. That's A, which is very complicated, and then B, in that type of sense, there's a space there. And then C is a modifier. Okay, now the formula said for an intelligence modifier, taking that type of sense. Modifier here, that's A and B. Modifier has MOD in it, so under space on the B one we write MOD, which that's correct. The space can't be a modifier of 0. And here under score we write modifier. Score starts with an SEO, and that's score. Well, I should have wrote that out there. Score starts with an SEO, RE, and that's MOD. But it's implied that those numbers are equal. Now in that type of thing, that's SCOR, that's space, like that, and that's mod, and those things are equal, but it's implied that you already should use the first column, so that's A, that's B, and the space counts as its own separate vertical row or column. And then C is the one at the top type thing on page 8, which says modifier, which is MOD over the intelligence modifier that we were looking for. So that's modifier, and that's modifier, and that's mod to mod. So now in that type thing, that means, which is not implied because we already had scored or mod type thing in that type of sense. That is implied, so the 18 to 19 is the number that you're looking for in modifier. So it's 4. And that's another beating. Okay, now, from that beating, that's not correct. Okay, now, for wizard, that was intelligence modifier, taking that type of sense. In the key ability here, let's go here, that's wisdom, that's wisdom, that's wisdom, that's wisdom, and that's wisdom in that type of sense. There is no wisdom mentioned in will saving throw on page 135, up at the top. In that type of thing. 135 is pretty magical. Ranged and melee attack roll, damage, armor class, hit points to -10, and up back to the top with some movement, and the initiative, taking that type of sense, being a d20 plus dexterity modifier, and there's an attack type thing with strength modifier and dexterity modifier in the second line type thing. That means that is a will saving throw of d20 plus base save bonus plus wisdom modifier, which was intelligence or charisma right there at the end. So in that, didn't catch that. Wizard's best ability is intelligence, but it doesn't match up with the wisdom modifier in a saving throw situation for the will save. And if they take a 14-14 in that type of sense, they can save a 2 out of it type thing in that type of sense. We'll get back to that in that means. So now that's intelligence. For the sorcerer, it's charisma. I don't know what the bards cast with. Let's get to the druids who don't cast. That's cleric, and that's spells. Cleric spells, which aren't in existence anywhere in the book. And then if you turn back to 183 or 189, another beating, in that type of sense, is also cleric spells up at the top, which doesn't exist. And that's called the cops. If not everything. Because that's the way it's supposed to go. It's not that big of a miss. Which is right. Okay, now, that's wisdom taking that type of sense on page 34. That spells, a druid casts divine spells, which is another beating. To prepare a cast a spell, the druid must have a wisdom score right there up to spells taking that type of sense. So now, the key ability type thing to operate the character, which really isn't the key ability for a druid, is wisdom, which matches up to the key ability in the saving throw. Wisdom to wisdom, unlike anybody else. Cleric type thing that type of sense is wisdom. Ooh, we didn't look that up. Can't tolerate not looking up things, you know, especially when people are feigning their beating type thing which you're not big enough to stand up against. That's table 3-7 deities. Down, that's why you don't write stuff like that. That's why this is wrong. That's why that's a beating. Because they'll change it, and that's right to change. Table 3-7 deities, down to aura, to spells, and in that type of sense, you sound more like a man now after your beating type things, especially in a nougat sense. Or fig leafing or something of that nature, which is great. I guess I shouldn't say a fig leaf thing so much as an important sense of status. Like other spellcasters, a cleric can cast only a certain number of spells for each spell level per day. Space's daily spell allotment is given on table 3-6 to cleric. In addition, he receives bonus spells per day if he has a high wisdom score and that type of thing, which is a difficult thing here for me to do. Just like a status. That's spontaneous casting. This is human clerics, ex-clerics. All you have to do is just listen to the people who are right, and then you wouldn't be wrong, and then you wouldn't have to worry about your status. That's bonus languages. That's 3 plus charisma modifier, and that means key abilities. Bard casts arcane spells here, and that's charisma to spells. So that is a bard has charisma. The will saving throw, once again, had charisma in it. Will saving throw on page 135, d20 plus base save bonus plus charisma modifier, wisdom. So that's wisdom to, back to bottom page 28, to 2 lines off the bottom, to learn to cast a spell in the first column. A bard must have a wisdom score